Welcome to the comic book collection update. I'm AG, and I'm letting you know that I have to stay a certain way because what? My camera's gonna get out of focus. So I'm gonna be stuck like this for a little bit. But anyway, um, we got some comic books, we got some issue twos, we got some new issues, we got stuff like that, but we also have Product College. So we have both of the two beginning parts of the Shrouded College code, which is this is the Bloody Dozen, which I'm guessing that's about vampires, and Hell to Pay, something probably about going to hell and paying a price. So these I will be doing separate things, probably doing this more extensive dive. So you might get comic book panels, you might get figureheads or something like that. I'm just thinking. So it might take time before this even comes out, but I'm gonna take my time, read it, and get all the information and knowledge I need for it before I sit up there and make a video about it. But let's get into the comic books. Okay, so our Secret Wars, our Secret Wars Part 2, Captain America. Man, so last time we left off, Captain America was organizing with his group, well, getting a briefing with his group that he was about to go and get into a mission to go to La Verita of Doctor Doom's country because he has some diplomats he took hostage that's from America, and they want to basically get set them free. Cap was just getting briefed, and then also another Captain America came in, and that's what things got set up at the end. So, so now we begin, and we basically find out that the backstory of the young kid, uh, Colton, that's his last name, Colton. Um, Basically, he turned into the next Captain America, and I'm gonna leave his flashbacks alone in the story and just tell you the main story. His flashbacks that basically tells you he knows that he can't be like the Captain America from back then, and I think this is like a way for the Captain America from back then, like the original Cap, Steve Rogers. He's gonna end up realizing this is not the same world because how the story goes is basically they drop down. Colt basically tell Rogers like, "Hey, look, we're not here to take out Doom. We're here to take out to basically set our people free. Everything else is not really there." So they drop down, they go, and they're trying to make it to the city, but then all of a sudden, Doctor Doom shows up, and they're trying to fight and pin down Doctor Doom, and then the rebels show up, and then you find out that the rebels had taken a Doombot, and that Doombot is on their side, and that's who they was fighting the whole time. It wasn't Von Doom the whole time. And basically, their plan was basically the rebels show them where their people at. They take the people, and during the night they escape. But it did not go as planned. The rebels want them to take out Von Doom, and Colt or Colton wasn't about that. He's not really about that. He's like, nah, that's not part of the plan. This is messed up. Man, we might need to figure out something. And Roger was like, man, look, we're here, things happen. Now we gotta make a choice. I say y'all go save our people, or the diplomats, and I go help them take out Von Doom. And Colton Colton was like, it must feel nice to think you could save the world like that, but that's not how it works. And there's like this thing about Steve Rogers that he's like trying to understand this world because he's like, it's weird that we have bases all over the world to keep an eye on other countries and make them accountable for what they do. But it's like, is that truly freedom? That's like that's like just another version of basically suppression. And he was thinking that, but he wasn't saying like suppression stuff. He was just thinking like, this really freedom? Like he stopped at, is this really freedom? And so they make it to the city, and him and the rebel leader basically goes and try to take out Von Doom. And in Roger's mind, and I don't know why I keep going back to his mind because it's like that's where most of the deep thoughts and like the most hitting parts of this story in this issue hits at is in his mind. He starts talking about how Hitler was never brought to justice, and how the one who basically caused the problem of so much damage to the world was never brought to justice. He was just, we got peace, but in the war ended, but he never got brought to justice. So while they're lining up a sniper shot to take out Von Doom, who was at a dinner table, um, Rogers came to the realization assassination is not the thing we should do. We need to take him in and bring him into justice for the courts. And like, so he stopped the assassination from happening, but at the same time the assassination wasn't going to happen anyway because that Doombot was with them, the one that was on the rebel side. They reprogrammed it, but Von Doom took back over that one with ease and stopped everything. And with that being said, like, so the rebel leader and Steve Rogers, Captain America. Now I'm keep saying Steve Rogers, Captain America, because Colton is Captain America too, so they're gonna have him Captain Colton, and but Steve Rogers, Captain America, is fighting now. Colton, he's somewhere else with the rest of the group, and Captain America is struggling to fight um just doing about, and he basically lose, and they was about to try to kill him when Von Doom told the Doombot, no, the rumors in New York are true. Captain America, the plague to Adolf Hitler, is here. Nah, my country welcomes you as a hero, sir. And it ends off like that. So I'm thinking they're about to have some deep story into this one, and I can't wait for number 3 because, oh, this read was good. And I'm really serious. Like, forget the action. It really was a story that was meant to be read. Next up, we have Absolute Green Lantern issue 5. Okay, so I think we start off with Tom Rice, cafe owner who's in the rubble. He was told by a ring, be with fear, because, Ab Abstin, the alien force, Abstin, have been, whatever the alien guy name was, he's gone. Uh, dark darkness about to come and stuff like that. It's going to become a problem. That's basically what it's saying. And Epson don't have no way to a point. So it is just telling him to be with fear. The issue is called Be with Fear. And it's basically telling, so we basically goes to Hal and Joe fighting, and Joe just telling, like, no, not Joe, not Hal's just basically telling Joe, like, I thought he killed you, but because of what you did, you killed everybody in town, and which is not true because Todd Rice was in the rubble. Somebody freed him and told the story of everything what he heard, and that was Hammond. him just seemed like a corporation business guy that's just trying to get power, and he sees a power source and he's trying to get it to gain everything. And basically, what Ty Rice heard while he was in the rubble was how, and with Abin Sur, Abin Sur was, you need to be with Phil Hal Jordan. And I know you're wondering where, basically, let's start it off from what he first said. Joe has took my power, and basically she is without guidance with it, so she don't know how to use it. She needs to use it, but she's alive. Hal thinks she's dead, and Hal's like listening to him, and the guy's telling him we need to basically understand. I need to judge in judgment, and then bow bow bow. Hal Jordan with the golden bullets surrounding his and he got on the bullet casings and stuff like that to shoot, shot and killed the alien force. When Hal Jordan tried to walk up close, it grabbed his hand and the gun and said, Jordan, Hal Jordan, be with fear. Absolute Abin Sur said, be with fear. And the reason why is be a fear of the black hand, which he gave to Hal Jordan. Then he gave, and then he said, be with fear of the Black Star. So basically, there's something higher going on. There's a invasion of something coming. Whatever's affected Hal in his hand is basically probably part of the Black Star that's going to be coming to Earth, probably. So back to the fight. Uh, they're just fighting. Hal's getting out of control. A different type of voices talking instead of Hal's. And Joe is basically fighting, but they're fighting towards the Green Lantern thing that was surrounding the town or above the town with the dome, and that fell. And it's causing to activate. And Howard, that businessman, he is seeing with his calculations that he is that it is activating, and actually it lifted up, and something happened where Joe and Hal, this is towards the end now, is basically fighting, and it's they're going to, and there's like going to the lantern, and something happened where the lantern lit up and they got absorbed into it because I think Joe tried to throw Hal into it or something, and boom, they get sucked into a world and was told y'all two need to be without fear. And I'm not pretty sure, but because it looks like it, because he's the only black character that was there, but he was with a fade and not nothing up top of the head. Like he didn't have like a high top fade or nothing like dreads or any type of hair right there. Uh, but I'm just gonna say it's John Stewart. And as you know earlier, he got judged and he was taken somewhere and stuff like that. He wasn't killed. And from the alien force. So something went on because I think John probably understand it because he's like, whoever this person is, I'm gonna say it's John. I'm not sure, but he is like in a golden form, and I think that's part of the rings or the yellow or whatever. Like I don't think yellow, but he's in part of a different form. So we're gonna find out what is going on after then. Gotta say, I think like I'm just playing like what I just said in the back of my head, and it's like this was actually interesting, but I'm like I just described it and it didn't sound interesting, and it's like yeah, this is what you have to read to get the real gist of what I'm saying. And this is actually this was actually good because it had a little action, it gave you a little bit more stuff in the black background. It did everything it needs to do in this one issue that makes you like, oh, this is a that it makes it good. So check it out. Sisterhood, a High Street Story, issue 2. Okay, so now I remember their names. I know who's who, and I know some few other people too. So that's Sophie and Violet, two best friends, bonded by tragedy when Sophie mother passed away and stuff like that, and they've been close ever since. There's even deeper backstory. Violet, real sister, basically stopped fucking with her because of the simple fact is she crashed the party that that she was throwing or at. Oh, because it was at Violet and and her sister name's Amber. So Amber and Violet sisters, they was at their house. They had a party going on with seniors. Amber's a senior, and Violet and Sophie crashed. And Amber Scene told them to leave, and Violet pushed her through like the glass door, patio door, and basically made a scar on Amber's face. And they haven't talked since. So their bond of sisters just left. So Violet and Sophie became bigger sisters than that one. So now that, you know, Violet's dead from a sorority, from basically the sorority hazing ritual, getting fed liquor and getting pushed in the pool and had to get her own bottle out there and then caught and drowned. Uh, Sophie ended up going to a place, got her revived, but like spiritually revived, and only she could see her through mirrors and stuff. And basically, Violet's plan is that we needs to infiltrate the sorority during a rush and make sure we want them to talk. Yeah, but things happen. First, Amber comes to get her sister's things and was happy. So Sophia was basically there to be with her sister all the time when she left out of her sister's life. And Sophie wasn't about to do none of the stuff, but then she realized, no, I need to. And she went go join Rush. Violet, anywhere that she can have her, Sophie can have a reflection, she sees Violet. And Violet's telling her, like, good, you joining and stuff like that. We need to do something about these people. And it's like, yeah. Sophie was like, yeah, we're going to get them to talk, all kind of stuff like that. And it's like, oh, no, we don't need them to talk. Violet really wants them to like suffer in depth, because at the end of this chapter, when one of the sorority sisters come to check on her, and it's probably was a major player, but the real major player is Karma. She's the one that actually pushed Violet in the pool, force fed her liquor and stuff like that, and then like try to get it disguised as if it was like just a regular accident. Her mother pulled and make it seem like it was an accident, but she wasn't the one that came to the balcony, started talking to Sophia, and then all of a sudden she fell off the balcony and died. And Sophia was like, how did that happen? And my father was like, she just must have fell. And in truth, we all know, because this is more of like a horror story, that that Violet took over probably Sophie's body and pushed her and made her push her. So yeah, now the murders and deaths really start. Like where the murders start, the real murders start. Okay, we have Godzilla escape the dead zone. Um, we are introduced to the Wanderer, and explains that he's a random being. Well, no, he's a human mutated into basically some type of creature with a tail, and he's still human, a human with a face, humanoid with a face with a lizard tail. That's what they call him and stuff like that. He's in the northwest coast of the United States. That's winter waste. Seattle, Washington is gone. There, and that's called now a Deadzone area. And basically, if Godzilla and other kaiju's basically showed up and did their thing, and it's like a huge battlefield. Just describe them that like they're just wandering. If you're wandering around, like it's this post populistic city area, and basically even further out, it's just horrible. The the world is like that part of the country is just destroyed, and kaiju run and late. It's to the point to where like this guy fights the Wanderer. He fights kaiju's. He like one of the fights is that he tames it to go to catch a ride, because the car he was using, the tires were all messed up and stuff like that. But it wasn't really much. He was just describing the world and letting you know like what like certain areas, like traveling is hostile, and that you don't know what you might have to, what you might come across. And basically, while he was walking out in a desert type area, he ends up seeing a vehicle. It pulls up on the side of him and said, hey brother, you might want to catch a ride with us. There's a kaiju high on its tail." Um, the wanderer was like, "Nah, I think I'm not really worried about that." He didn't say this, but he was basically not really worried because he's like, nothing can really survive out this way. Not even a kaiju with scales and with certain type of way. I didn't really understand that. I don't know if he's saying if it don't have scales it can't survive, or if it do have scales it can't survive. But one of the ways, like, if it's that, it's not that really that serious. Well, they drove off, and then boom, it was kaijus. It was two of them fighting, and basically one lost and stuff like that. And he was on the one that was losing because he jumped on one and was like, "All right, I'll be on this one." And he was like, "Oh snap, this one's losing." And it died. And like he seen there was a hole in it. And at the end, like this is at the end of the chapter because it wasn't a big ass comic book full of reading. It was just pictures and stuff like that. But with panels, and I could just say that it was really it looked pretty good. But at the end, it shows like there was this girl inside of the kaiju, and he was wondering, was she controlling it? And probably so, because he's mutated into having a tail and stuff like that, and claws that retract. So it might be, and he might be able to do the same, but we don't know. We're gonna wait. We're gonna see, and we're gonna wait to issue two. And I got a free pen when I got this comic too. So yeah. Okay, so it's Cruel Universe. It's volume two, even though it don't show it nowhere on here. But it's oh no, it do. I see it on the back of the cover. It's Cruel Universe Volume Two, Issue One. It's basically a group of stories. This one has four of them, and it is just strange stories about different little scenarios about how the universe is cruel. So let's start with the first story. In a strange land, a group of aliens planet was going to ruins, so they escaped their planet before it destroyed, and they found Earth, but they did not know how to approach the Earthlings. So they basically viewed all their content to see how they can blend in, and they picked the most average face to go through. Now I just want you to know they aren't the only ship that like this thing. There's plenty of ships that they went all over the universe to basically find other living lives. So it's not just this one, but we're concentrating on the one with Earth. So they disguised the alien as an Earthling to try to get in contact with someone in higher power on Earth to basically accept them, accept the alien race. But when they seen it, what they didn't know is that they dropped down in a big populous city. I didn't know what time area this was, but he dropped down in the city and they did not like him and they looked at him with disgust. And he tried to talk to officers and they basically chased him out and like trying to capture him. He tried to go to stores, trying to get help from random people, and it was just like no. So when they beamed him back up in the spaceship, it was because he was a black man. He disguised himself as a black man and everything. And I didn't notice it until the very end that like I was wondering like why he's getting hate. Is it because he disguised himself as black? I did say that, but I didn't notice that everybody in the thing was just white. Like everybody was white. So it was like, oh, so this was a time period when racism or something was still high, or it was just an area where it was like a buku racist. So yeah, that was that story. Then Catch and Kill was about a V talker or something like that they call it in this world. They was about to test out a project to see if they could talk to dolphins or translate dolphins. At the end of the story, just know it works. But it's what happened that makes this a cruel story. The first story was very like this one. gets straight down to the crudeness. So they went go talk to the a rescue area for dolphins, and like these dolphins have to stay in captivity because they can't go survive out in the wild. But that I don't think that's true. But we just waited to the end. So basically, they sitting up there, they're learning things about the dolphin, and then all of a sudden, they're about to test out the dolphin translator when they play a video to sit up there and have them do the same thing on a video, and they didn't realize that wasn't dolphins singing, that was dolphins crying and mourning over a death of another dolphin or something like that. Yeah, it was death of another a dolphin. So with that being said, they crying over that. They started crying over it because they hear the sound of others crying. So they try to translate it, but before they could translate it, the dolphins started swimming around, and now they're in the water. All the camera wires and the microphone equipment wrapped around the camera guy and the the host of the show, the blogger of the show, and dragged them in the water. And the dolphins just kept swimming and swimming and swimming, and they hit a coral reef. It tore the two the cameraman and the blogger up and killed them. And this was all during a live stream. So the live stream showed it and seen it. And the rescuer who was like actually there, like the person who was managing the captivity was trying to save him but couldn't. So we get to the translator where the dolphins was playing with the translator, and it was translating what the dolphins were saying. It was like, oh look, human trash, yay, fun and free, because they swam away from the captivity place. So it's like, that means they could have been freed. They could have been back into the ocean, back in the wild all along. But yeah, but they wasn't. Then guess what happens? Let's go to the next one. The fittest. The fittest is basically a virus or something must have hit Earth. They didn't really explain it. It was just showing that a rich guy had a ship, and he basically was like, no more disease, and we're on the best place, best utopia is my colony. So good thing we're here. A guy coughed. He looks at him, guards, and they throw him out the airlock. They're in space. Yes, they're in space. So Earth is basically disease. These are supposed to be the fittest of the people, and this guy here is just basically, just showing that he got all the power and stuff. And the people on there automatic was like, yeah, we taking him out. So they try to kill him. The guards attack. They disable the guards. The the owner of the ship, the one who runs it, he tried to shoot them off, and then he escaped in an escape pad and blew up the ship. And his escape pad got messed up, and he ended up escaping out the escape pod, and like he called another ship to come get him, and that's had more people. Well, something happened. Somebody on that ship was infected with the disease that was on Earth, and the blood was on him, and it was spreading on him. So when the other ship came, one of the guards, which was a robot guard, they flew to him and seen that he was infected and left him out there and flew back in the ship. And they was like, oh, well, it's too bad. At least it couldn't happen to a nicer person. And it was all sarcastic stuff, joking, laughing at him and stuff, until they realized the robot had the disease because it's something that's visible to see on his hand, and it started spreading inside the ship. So cruel world, cruel universe, cruel Bela, all everybody, the last survivors of her, all are infected. Now the last one, it was a heavy read. It's their flicked ship. And in this story, it was basically they found a ship that was abandoned. They look for all abandoned ships. They stop at all abandoned ships, and they go and try to find the flight logs to see what happened and why it's abandoned and stuff like that. And in this ship, they found out that something happened. The ship got damaged. It went on to a planet, and the planet basically um was a planet for like not criminals, but anti-democratic people or democracy. Yeah, I think it's anti-democracy. And it was like, hold up. So these guys want to stop democracy. They on this planet, but the ship that stopped there was like, oh, we did not know this was that planet. Yet they didn't want nobody to know this planet exists because they don't want these people escaping. So they never really listed this planet on anything. So these guys came on, like these group of guys came and said, we're taking the ship. No, y'all taking us off this planet. And if you don't, we'll kill you. And there was like one guy of the ship was like, you can kill me. It's better to die than send y'all back to Earth because y'all will sit up there and affect Earth with your disease, ideologic ideas and stuff like that. And the other guy was like, man, I got a wife and kids. I got a wife and kid. I can't do that. And it was like, yeah, you know what? You the smart guy. We're gonna take care of your buddy here, and you gonna take us out here. And they shot the other guy, and they took one, and they flew out into space with him. And then while he was flying and flying the ship, he started hearing how they wanted to take over. They wanted to infiltrate the government, uh, assassinate people, preach other ideals, and make people turn against each other, like in race and in creeds and stuff like that. And while the guy was flying the ship, he's hearing that he was thinking about his five kids, and he's like, "Nah, I can't let them live in that type of world." So he turns the ship around. He destroys equipment on the ship and dumps the fuel. And he's like, "I want us to freeze and lose and suffocate to death and stuff like that." And it was like, "But you're gonna do it too. What about your wife and kids?" I thought of them. That's why I did this. And that's what happened to this abandoned ship. Well, when they find out who the guy was, the pilot of the ship was, they found out, well, it finds out that the captain of the ship that was investigating that ship, and this was the cargo ship they was investigating. So they was investigating the cargo ship, and they found out that was the captain's dad, that was the pilot of the cargo ship. So he became a captain to fly around to find out what happened to his dad because he always wanted his dad to come home from space. And even though it had a decent ending of now I know what happened to my father, it was cruel what happened to his father. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain this one the best way that I can. The names, there's a lot of names, but uh, it's called the Cul-de-sac. And it's a vampire story. It's pretty decent actually. Um, Starts off a group of vampire slayers taking out these vampire dealers. These dealers are selling blood and stuff like that. These vampires are selling blood, and they take them out, you know, and they get some. They keep one of them alive. There's three vampires. They take out like it's like a group of five or four, something like that, of vampire slayers, and they take out a group of three vampires. But they keep one of the three alive, and that one gave them information mm, uh, about a certain type of vampire called the Necro Cartel. I'm gonna call it Necro Cartel, and they are, well. You find out at the end is that they are the ones that breed. They are vampires that can breed. They can make children, and and they're like in, I want to say Kingston, they're in a smaller area out of from Portland. See, now when you get to that area, you pull up to this cul-de-sac, right? The vampire slayers ain't there. You're at a cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac have these three families. Well, this family group of families and stuff like that. Yeah, it's three families, and these three families are basically about to go send their kids off a camping trip, and there's a black family there, and I want to say the oldest daughter is Gail. We're going to concentrate on Gail. So Gail's mother brings all the kids to the camping trip and reveals to them that they are a certain type of vampire that's above vampires, and like they are the top of the food chain. And they was telling them like at first like y'all eating regular food and stuff like that, but the second you drink blood straight from the source, it changes from there. And the mother shows them, it scales her youngest child, and Gail tried to go and comfort her little sister. There's a kid named Robert. He's like he's tallest, he's the oldest one, and another one named Calcium. Oh, and the youngest child is Sam. So I think I got all the names of the kids out the way. And those kids basically are in the woods, trying to understand what they're just trying to have. And Gail is trying to basically get them all together and calm them down. And she told her mom to go away. And when she told her mom to go away, the mom goes back home and gets with the other families, with the other families and her husband, and try to tell them like, hey, look, she tried to basically explain, but it never ended up coming through because the Slayers came through and slaughtered all of them. Now the kids don't notice, but the kids was up in the woods, sitting up there, they're just trying to get their bearings, and then he found out like calcium. I think that's how he says, man, something like that. Calcium. He drank the blood of the rabbit, and now he can't eat regular food. And all the other kids are like, man, dude, this is getting too much, and we're not sleeping out here with you. We're going. They don't believe that they're vampires. That's the whole thing. But now they see that they're having the calcium. They think he won now, but he's like, man, we don't think it's so. But they still cool with him, so he comes with them. So they walk back home. They make it to the house. They seen Calcium and Gail walked in there and seen their whole family, all their families dead, and they seen like one person survive, and it was one of the Slayers, and they was trying to like Gail grabbed him, was like, "Who the fuck are you?" Well, she came up like a little G. Who the fuck are you? And it's like, uh, what you doing here? I'm here to do my job. And she was like, you killed innocent people. That's your job. And it's like, oh girl, your family wasn't innocent. And like her powers as a vampire woken up without even eating, like me drinking blood. She just was able to blow fire and it's all in his face and took off his head. And Calzone was like, oh, you killed somebody. And she had to remind him, like, bro, you killed the rabbit. And I was like, but that's a human being. She was like, that rabbit had more right to live than this human being. That human being just killed all the family members. And so that's not the end of everything. Like that's the end of the kid's story. But back to the Slayers, they're sitting up there. They realize that, while they're nursing in rooms, they realize like, did y'all notice the pictures in the house? And it's like, nah, we think that was just like set pieces to make them look normal. And it's like, nah, I don't think so. We need to go tell our boss this. Basically, I ain't really focused on the boss name, but they was like, I already did. I sat up there, took a picture, and sent it to him. So now we go to the boss, and the boss calls a woman named Jagger and tells her the Necrotel may actually have kids on the loose. And I think that you need to go hunt them. And shows them the picture that was sent. And it was like, oh my gosh, I must, you know, clean my slate, basically saying I'm gonna empty my plate and I'm gonna only focus on them. So now next time we might see the kids getting hunted down by Miss Jagger.